When I was trying to copy other sales trainers, other sales reps blindly, I was getting more confused. I would burn leads who had the money and get frustrated. I felt fake and I'd feel exhausted by the end of the day. But then I made this one tweak, and that tweak allowed me to get better results, close more deals, help more prospects, and actually calls started becoming more enjoyable. It felt more true to myself. As fluffy as it sounds, but true. I'm a former top producer at 7th Level, one of the largest sales training companies in the world. Also a top producer at Sales Sniper, back then the largest sales agency in high ticket sales. I've helped other sales reps and multi-million-dollar sales teams double, triple, quintuple their sales, help them pay for their mother's mortgage, travel around the world, retire their girlfriend. And the first reason why just blindly copying a sales trainer or other sales reps is a detrimental thing, and it'll also have the backwards effect, is because your personality and their personalities are oftentimes different. So I'll give you one example, okay? So when I first got into sales, I first started to copy Jeremy like we all do, right? So what the typical Jeremy lines where Jeremy goes, let's say you hop on a call, Jeremy goes, hey Scott, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. Just being the boring guy out here. I'm doing good, just staying out of trouble. You staying out of trouble out there? And in the beginning, I just blindly copied it because, oh, Jeremy's doing it, so I should do it. And the intention was there, it's just that I didn't see through the whole point of why he was doing those things. And so because I didn't know the mechanics and the principles behind it, I just tried to copy it. I'd get some laughs and cracks from prospects here and there, but I'd also feel very weird and very fake inside. I'd feel very uncomfortable. And sometimes I'll see that from the prospects also. Sometimes the prospects will kind of be like, yeah. They'll be kind of awkward, weirded out. And until the end of the sales call, there'll be like a weird, awkward vibe going on that I couldn't quite pinpoint. And obviously I couldn't close the deal. And I just feel exhausted at the end of the day. And so I was trying to wonder why. And it took me very long to realize that, well, dude, Jeremy is in his 40s or 50s. He does dad jokes and uncle jokes. I'm in my 20s. I don't do dad jokes and uncle jokes, as funny as they are, right? The reason why those jokes really work well for Jeremy is because, well, that's Jeremy's personality. That's Jeremy's sense of humor. So of course it's gonna work well for him, and he knows why he's doing it. As opposed to me, it's like, okay, I don't talk like that. I don't talk like that at all. Same thing with the question of like, do you like what you're doing for a living? I asked that to try to get the problem from the prospect, but I just felt so weird and awkward and so uncomfortable. Again, better than before. I'm like, do I have to say this? Do I really have to say it this way? And it took me a few years later until I realized that I don't have to talk like that. Because first I understood, okay, cool. So the whole point of why Jeremy does, I'm just being the boring guy, is to disarm the prospect and help them open up, right? So I start to basically modify, okay, like how can I do it basically my way while still getting the job done, understanding the principles? And I had a click moment because one time I saw a student, he's bald, and in the beginning of the call, he would hop on the call and ask the prospect, hey Susie, how are you? And then Susie would go, the prospect, oh, I'm doing good, how are you? And my student would go, just being bald, And I just thought that was really hilarious. I was like, but he did it in his way. He didn't do it in like an uncle joke, dad joke kind of way. So I'm like, he just did it because that's his personality. He's just going like, how's it going? Very friendly, very outgoing. What's my personality? Well, I can be outgoing, but a lot of times mine's more dry sarcasm, right? Mine's very dry sarcasm, but it's kind of almost like borderline nonchalant. And so like, okay, what would I say? Okay, I'm Asian, so I could start saying that. So a prospect will hop on, I'll be like, hey Zach, how you doing? The prospect go, oh, I'm doing good, Brian, how are you? Just being Asian. Tough day at the office. And I'll say it with a straight face, not like, just being the boring guy. I wouldn't do that. I was like, I just did that. 9 times out of 10, the prospect would just start chuckling. It may not be a ha 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 ha. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'd have that too. They'll just crack open. But a lot of times it's just them just having a little chuckle like, oh ha ha, that's kind of funny. That was enough for the prospect to start opening up. And I found it funny. But not just in a way that I found it funny, but it's, offensive to the prospect or whatever. I found it funny. The prospects found it funny 9 times out of 10. 9.9 times out of 10. And it'll get the job done. And so that was one example. Another example too of, the truth question, the problem question going, do you like, instead of that, I saw the then former CEO of 7th Level, Matt, him asking like, you like it? Oh, I could ask it that way. So I'll start asking, instead of do you, that whole spiel, I'll just go, okay, you like it? Is it working? Okay, how's that going? I'll just do that because that's what I would ask in a real life conversation. If somebody told me, I would ask them, hey, so what do you do for work? And they say, I'm an accountant. Okay, how's that going? That's what I would ask to a person if I'm talking to them in real life. Because I'll never, in a real life conversation, I will never say, do you and I'm not mocking certain sales trainers at all. It works incredibly well for them. For certain personalities, they can pull it off. For me, it just wasn't it. You know what I'm saying? Especially, and a lot of people tell me too, it's like, Brian, your style resonates with me a lot more because that's how I talk and that's how it resonates with me a lot more. And that's one of the biggest reasons why people are coming to our program, which by the way is Real Sales System, where we help people hit 10K, 20K, 30K a month in sales, high ticket sales, and commissions. Yeah, being able to do it from anywhere in the world, set your own schedule. Our students have paid for their mother's mortgage, retire their girlfriend, travel around the world, take their partner on a holiday. You know, we've had students that start their own business from what they learn inside the program in a sales agency or sales operations, hit 100K months. I'm not saying you're gonna do the same, no guarantees. If you want a safe, cushy guarantee, I invite you to go flip burgers at Burger King instead. They'll give you a guarantee that you'll make 2K a month. You have to clock in, clock out. But if you're a hardworking individual who takes full responsibility for himself, you don't need someone to get you out of bed. You already sold yourself on why you need to make a change, why you need to improve yourself. You can go to the first link in the description box below right after this video. You can see a demo of our program, how it works, and you'll be able to schedule a consultation call if you're eligible. That being said, that's one of the biggest reasons why people come into our program because, Brian, like, yeah, your style resonates with me a lot more. It's less fake. It feels more genuine, authentic. Whatever word you want to use it, that is fine. Same thing with the question of like, has that had an impact on you? I first asked it that way. I got some responses better than what I was doing before. Before I didn't have any framework. So I'm giving credit where credit's due for sure, right? But then I started tweaking a little bit. It's like, okay, what's the whole point of the question? The whole point of the question is to basically ask the prospect on cover how the problem is affecting different areas of their life. It could be how is it affecting their life, how is it affecting them personally, mentally, emotionally, or their business, depending on what we're selling exactly, right? So I started asking, depending on what it is, I was like, okay, well, I mean, what's that been doing to you? Okay, how's that been affecting you? Okay, what does that do? You know what I'm saying? So if the prospect says that, oh yeah, I'm just not making enough money, man. I'll just go like, okay, I mean, what are you not able to do because of that? I'd ask it that way, right? I'm still coming off curious and concerned. It's like, okay, what are you not able to do because of that? Well, I'm not able to take my family out on vacation. Oh wow, yeah, it can be tough for sure. I mean, how do you feel about it? The whole question is like, how does that make you feel? I did that too. I just feel super uncomfortable, not in a good way, right? Because discomfort can be good when we're making a change, but it was just like that. It's almost like my entire cell in my body was resisting in a bad way. Don't get me wrong. If something's good for me and I know I gotta do it, I know the discomfort is good, right? But in this regard, it just wasn't it. It just felt so, it's almost like every cell in my body was telling me, yeah, don't ask it that way. It's like my cells were resisting. And so instead of going like, how does it make you feel? I just go, okay, like, how do you feel about it? Okay, what's your thoughts on it? Okay, and when you know you wanna take your family out on vacation, but you can't because you're not making money from your job, what goes through your mind? I would ask it that, I'd tweak it a little bit to like, I ask myself, I became a critical thinker. What would I say? How would I phrase this if I talk to somebody in real life? And I had to do some split testing because just because I'll say something in a real life doesn't mean it's the most effective thing. Sometimes it can come off the wrong way. Sometimes it's not the most effective. So I had to do some split testing and figure out, it's a Venn diagram, right? It checks both boxes, which is, okay, I would say this in real life, that's more suiting to my personality, so on and so forth, but it's also effective on sales calls. It checks both boxes. So it was those aha moments for me, which came from a lot of trial and error. Sometimes I had to figure things out on my own because I wasn't able to get answers from certain sales trainers, which is fine, right? So I found that that's really the progression. So number one is basically model after. There's 3 steps, right? Number one is model after, then modify, and then innovate. Model after is basically, if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, just like how I was when I first came into high ticket sales, right? Or when I was at a plateau. I'm like, I need something to model off of. So I would go to somebody where, like, as Jeremy as an example, like, okay, like, obviously it's working well for them. Let me just model off it to the T, right? I did that, got a bit better results than before, but also some parts is like, I don't know, I'd give it enough iteration. Obviously, I'd get feedback and whatnot. So I'll do that, I'll get to a certain point, and then I'm like, okay, how can I modify it to work it well for me specifically? So I wouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I wouldn't change like everything completely, but I'll tweak it a little bit. I was like, okay, let me just make this small tweak, modify, right? So instead of going like, how does it make you feel? I'd go like, okay, I mean, how do you feel about it? Okay, what's your thoughts on it? I'll do that, right? And then later on, when you get to advanced, which is for most 99.9% of people watching this, not that. And then we start to innovate. We start to like start and test random shit on sales calls. Not the whole thing, but like, I remember what would happen if I did this. So that's really that. Model after, modify, and then innovate. For most people, innovate is really not needed, especially when you're first starting out. Hitting your first 10K to 30K a month comms, we don't even need to worry about innovate, but like just model after and modify. That's really all we need, really. Something's out there working to a certain degree, better than how you're doing it now. So let me just, instead of just using our fucking brain cells, let's actually kind of not use our brain cells. Like, let me just model after that. And as long as you execute properly and you give it iteration, you practice or like get feedback, it'll work better than what you are now, as long as you're following a decent framework. And then after that, you can slightly modify to what worked for you. The second reason why just blindly copying other sales trainers or other salespeople were not effective was that I didn't fully understand the principles and mechanics behind why a technique works. So prime example is different analogies that I hear from different sales trainers, right? I heard this one analogy from the then CEO of 7th Level, Matt, and his go-to analogy would be something called an island analogy, which basically goes something like this, right? Oh, that makes sense because we all make decisions based on our perspective, right? Well, the problem is, how does that thing go? It goes something like, okay, picture yourself on an island, okay? There's a whole bunch of water, nautical miles, okay? You're stuck on an island. Now, if you want to get off that island, you got to take 3 main steps. Number 1, you gotta believe that the mountain is there, right? To be able to see the island as a whole. Second thing, you gotta pick a direction. Third thing, you gotta keep walking. The problem is most people don't pick a direction, most people don't keep walking. It goes something like this, yada, yada, yada. And so when I was just like, okay, being a good student myself, I would just be like, you know what, let me just copy and just memorize it. And I did that. I memorized it, I practiced it, I used it, but for some reason, it just wouldn't land that well with prospects. And I could tell oftentimes prospects wouldn't know what I'm talking about. They just feel lost and confused. And I wonder why. I was like, I mean, it's working well for him. Why it's not working well for me? Maybe it's not a good analogy. It's like, could it be? And then later I came to the conclusion that, I don't even know the point of this analogy. So why should the prospects know the point of this analogy, what I'm trying to say? That was a light bulb moment for me. I was like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It only was, few years later. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? It was only a few years later then I realized, as far as I understood, the whole point of the analogy is like, it's basically used with prospects who have a bit of fear, right? I don't know if this is the right next step for me. Maybe they get that fear objection on a sales call after the price drop. And so the analogy is basically designed, as far as I understand, it could be wrong, is designed basically to help the prospect understand, well, you got to pick a direction and you got to go, bro. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck on that fucking island. You're going to be stuck in the same situation, not making enough money. Your business is going to be stuck. So you're going to pick a direction and try something. That's going to put you in a better position. I could be wrong, as far as I understand. As soon as I understood that, it's like, okay. It started working a bit better because now I have more conviction behind it. I understand it. If the prospect doesn't understand, I can elaborate on it. I can rephrase it. And then later on, I started modifying it. I would basically give like small stories of when I was in their spot, when I was in their shoes, where I had that fear. Maybe I didn't know what to do, but I told myself that, I got to do something anyway. And that just moved on and that just put me in a better position. And I started getting better results from that. That is very important because these analogies and the reframes and the stories that you see on Instagram videos or YouTube videos, even from mine, it may sound cool and those are designed to get more views, but it's totally out of context. Totally out of context. I see salespeople using the wrong analogy and the wrong objection all the fucking time. And it just doesn't work and the prospect gets confused and the prospect's like, what is this guy talking about? So and I fell into that trap too. So it's very important to understand the principles, the mechanic behind it. Okay, when is this analogy used? What's the whole point of the fucking analogy? And the whole point of an analogy period is to basically help the prospect understand the point you're trying to deliver in a more visual way, in a more easily digestible, understandable way. And so each analogy you read from a story needs to be designed specifically to help the prospect overcome their specific objection. Very fucking important. So if you want help implementing the right analogy, right? Using an effective sales framework for your specific personality so you don't feel fake, you feel more natural, you help more prospects, you close more deals, get the 10K, 20K, 30K a month of commissions and high ticket sales. Again, no income guarantees here, but if you're a hardworking individual that takes full responsibility for himself, who's a great executor, you can go to the first link in the description box below. You'll be able to see a demo of our training program, Real Sales System. If you're eligible, be able to schedule a consultation call. See you there.